Nikola Jokic, nicknamed the Joker, has had one of the more unique rises to stardom we've seen in recent years. Here's some more information about the Serbian superstar's journey to the NBA and personal life. Jokic has become one of the most beloved players in the league due to his tempered style and lighthearted manner. Jokic is known to be a funny jokester and wants to make everyone around him laugh. Despite his status as a professional athlete, Jokic prefers to keep a low profile and chooses to spend most of his time in peace and solitude or with family. He spends a majority of his time with his two brothers, who he's very close to, and his wife. Despite his preference away from the spotlight, Jokic doesn't shy away from the big moments, evidenced by his nightly performances at the Ball Arena. His weight and diet. Jokic hasn't always had the body of a professional athlete, as he had to work very hard to get where he is today. In fact, when Jokic first arrived in Denver as a 19-year-old rookie, he couldn't even do a single push-up. Growing up, Jokic used to drink around 4 liters of Coca-Cola daily, stating that "I was unable to stop. I just kept pouring glass after glass." Jokic also loved sweets and candy, consuming way more than the average kid on a daily basis. These habits were part of the reason why Jokic was considered to be obese as a child, as he was by far the biggest kid in his class growing up. As Jokic continued to develop and grow as a basketball player in his early to mid-teens, the junk food habits continued. According to a Nuggets front office executive who met with Jokic during his first summer league in the NBA, Jokic once sat down and ate an entire gallon of ice cream without blinking an eye. Fortunately, Jokic turned a corner once he arrived in the NBA, giving up Coca-Cola and sweets almost entirely, and focusing on a diet consisting of healthful, nutritious foods. The crazy lifestyle of the Jokic brothers. Jokic is the youngest of 3 brothers. His oldest brother, Strahinja, is nearly 10 years older than him, while his other brother, Nemanja, is 7 years older. Despite their age gap, all 3 brothers are basically inseparable, sharing an apartment in downtown Denver along with Jokic's wife. Jokic's brother Nemanja played college basketball at Detroit Mercy, and played a key role in developing Jokic's love for the game of basketball. The brothers used to play one-on-one in the backyard, playing pickup games for hours in order to see who the best was. Despite Jokic's star status, the 3 brothers are about as normal as can be. They love to compete with one another, playing cards, wrestling, riding bikes, going to restaurants, and playing video games. They're so competitive, in fact, that Jokic has stated, "If you don't cheat, you won't have a chance to win." The Jokic household very rarely has a quiet moment, as the 3 brothers are always going at it with one another. Between pulling pranks on one another, listening to music, or playing basketball all over the house, the 3 brothers live quite vivaciously. Due to their closeness as siblings, they each have each other's back, and are there to keep one another grounded. As a Nuggets executive stated, "They're always here to keep him level-headed. They're never going to let it get to his head, even if it means making fun of him a little more." Nemanja and Strahinja are always in the stands at home Nuggets games, usually shouting at opposing teams or even getting into it with referees. In fact, during a game against the Indiana Pacers a few seasons ago, Strahinja got into it with one of the referees after Jokic was ejected for arguing a controversial foul call. He was seen screaming from the stands and nearly had to be escorted out of the building. Despite their brash temperaments and occasional outbursts, they're as big as supporters, and will do anything for their little, well, not so little brother. Who is Jokic's wife? The Joker met his wife while they were in grade school at the age of 16. They had been high school sweethearts since then and tied the knot in October of 2020 in their hometown of Sombor, Serbia. Jokic and his wife Natalia love to travel, as they've been seen together in such places such as London and across Europe. Natalia followed Jokic to the States after he got drafted by the Nuggets, enrolling in Seminole State College and playing collegiate volleyball for several years while earning an undergraduate degree in psychology. Natalia moved in with Jokic and his 2 brothers after the Nugget star was drafted and has lived with them ever since. They both enjoy time with family, racing horses, and being back home in their home country of Serbia. Jokic has admitted that it gets hard being so far away from home sometimes. But between the support of his childhood sweetheart and brothers, he has pretty solid support in the US. His net worth and how he spends his money. Jokic's current net worth is estimated to be around $30 million, although it's bound to become much larger as he's in the midst of a 5-year, $147 million contract through the 2023 season. Jokic will likely sign a much bigger contract extension, likely somewhere within the $200 million range soon, which would increase his net worth significantly. Jokic ranks as a top 30 paid player based on annual salary, and projects to move into the top 15 following his next contract agreement due to recent playoff success and personal accolades as a player. Where do you think Jokic ranks amongst NBA players today? Does he crack the ranks of a true superstar? Let us know in the comments section below. Jokic's laid-back personality matches his spending habits and overall style. He's not one for fancy clothes, jewelry, or watches, as he prefers more simplistic clothing. He can usually be seen wearing a plain t-shirt, sweatpants, and a sweatshirt, or other athletic apparel. As for fancy cars, Jokic drives a GMC Yukon and doesn't prioritize fancy cars or other flashy items. It's not known whether he owns any expensive cars or additional houses, but it is known that a majority of his spending goes to his horse ranch back home in Serbia. In terms of flashy items, Jokic is one of few superstars who don't have a lot of moolah invested in personal image, which is what makes him unique. His biggest passion and interesting facts. As mentioned previously, Jokic puts a lot of time and passion into his horses. When he was young, Jokic took a liking to horse racing, even dreaming of becoming a professional when he was in his early teens. While he eventually chose to focus on basketball, this hasn't stopped Jokic from owning 6 racehorses back in his homeland of Serbia. Jokic's father and grandfather both raced horses, which influenced him from a young age. In 2016, he purchased his first racehorse, naming him Dreamcatcher. He regularly races Dreamcatcher in competitions during the off-season, as he is his favorite horse of them all. During the off-season, Jokic spends most of his time back home on his horse ranch, calling it a getaway from the craziness of being an NBA superstar. According to teammates, he spends a very large deal of his free time reading books about horses or watching horse videos. So clearly, he's very passionate about his animals. He's even stated that he prefers the peace and relative solitude of the stable, grooming and feeding the horses, shoveling out their stalls. The routine is, for him, like raking a Zen garden. That's kind of my getaway from the people. Jokic loves the horses because he feels that they each have their own unique personality, which makes them like humans. He's openly stated that if he were not a professional basketball player, he'd be very happy being a stable cleaner for the horses. Jokic has shown many teammates and even coach Mike Malone his ranch back home, which is his happy place as they describe it. While many NBA players often have a secret talent or interest, Jokic's love for horses certainly puts him in a unique category of professional athletes' hobbies. Back in Serbia, Jokic was considered to be a class clown during his school years, as teachers adored him due to his upbeat personality and desire to make everyone happier around him. It seems that he's not grown completely out of that phase, as he's one of the most lighthearted and humorous players in the NBA. Jokic also quit basketball at the age of 13 to pursue his love for horse racing. He had dreams of raising and training horses as opposed to being an NBA superstar. Fortunately, his dad was able to convince him to give basketball one more shot, and the rest is history. Growing up, Jokic would watch highlights of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Hakeem Olajuwon, as he was fascinated by each of their unique skill sets and would absorb every piece of their techniques. Clearly, all those videos made an impact on him, as his game is certainly a unique mixture of those 3 skills on the court. One other interesting note is that before Jokic came to the NBA and began playing with the Nuggets, he played in the Adriatic League in his hometown of Serbia. After one season overseas following his selection by Denver, Jokic was set to sign a contract with Barcelona, extending his international stay for a couple more seasons. However, before contract negotiations were finalized, Barcelona representatives witnessed Jokic put up a putrid 4 points and 3 rebounds against their team. This caused them to rethink their decision, and when they ultimately pulled their offer from Jokic, he left for the Nuggets. Jokic was also selected in the same draft as Bosnian big man Jusuf Nurkic, who was the Nuggets' first-round pick. The Nuggets viewed Jokic as a capable backup to Nurkic, however, after just 3 seasons with the team, Nurkic was traded to the Blazers. This move was done to free up minutes for Jokic, which he capitalized on and never looked back. Which fact about Jokic surprised you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more NBA content.